How you guys doing today? It's About This Love podcast with your host Dell and Sherelle. Say what's up to the peoples.
What's up, people?
And I know you guys are usually used to us hearing our voices and not seeing us on video, but we're trying to switch it up in 2025, try something new. About This Love.
Well, we've done a couple of videos before, so this isn't really new.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we didn't regularly podcast on video.
Yeah. Today we were having a conversation in our car while we took our kids to the park to play. We also did a little fishing. I wouldn't say we caught anything. The kids is more so enjoy casting their fishing rods or the lure in the water, and that's just sufficient enough for them. But we were having a conversation today about just how in life people tend to, I wouldn't say give up their life, but they tend to trade things in life which are more important to chase the wind, per se, kind of metaphorically speaking. And we just kind of had a conversation about that, and just wanted her to kind of elaborate more on, because I think you telling me the other day how that was something you kind of wrote down.
I better write it down. Yeah. So in the car, I was what was I doing? I was driving, and I just thought about how, like, I felt like the Lord really was showing me how, gave me a vision, I guess, of how people kind of give up their world for the win. And it's like, well, it's like, Lord, what does that mean? Like giving up your world. Um, and I guess it's almost like giving up like the things that he has given to you in this lifetime to chase the win. And the win being like, let's say you watch the wind kind of, blow through the trees. In the same way, we can watch other people kind of experience the wind. It looks like something that, that they can experience. And it's like, oh, well, it's right there. I could probably experience the wind as well, but it's nothing that we can see. It's nothing tangible. It's nothing that we can really do to, make it come or go.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, you're going to give up what the Lord has like placed in your life as roots, and foundation, to go and chase something that's actually not tangible. You know what I'm saying? At least not for us believers. It may be tangible. I mean, it's probably not even tangible,
Well,
for non-believers.
I would say that sometimes it's not even that it's tangible. I'm sorry, not tangible. Because I would say, well, what if I have a wife and 3 kids, but I work 17 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's tangible, but in the long run, is that really going to be beneficial to my family? One of the things that I do is I meet up with a group of men. We're all believers once a month, and we have these kind of conversations. One of the conversations that we have is one of the spiritual fathers of our group. He always says to me, when I was younger, I chased money, and I think that more so whenever I say chase money, I just want to kind of say that I'm not talking about, well, you got to work to provide for your family, of course. But there's also in some instance where maybe let's say it takes 88 grand a year for me to provide for my family, but I make $200,000 with overtime because I'm just chasing the extra money. And it's like, well, what am I sacrificing to get to the 200 versus just being sufficient on the 88 or the $90,000? What I'm actually sacrificing is the time with my family. And yes, the money I'm making is tangible, but is it really worth it in the long run? And that's one of the things that we have conversations about. He always tells me, like, hey, from an older man who now has children who are about to be in college, let me just tell you, because he says often, it seems like I blinked an eye and my kids were in 6th grade, and then I believe that and they were, now graduating, getting ready to graduate from high school or now going to college. And he was like, I realized that, when I was a younger man, I chased money. I sacrificed so much time with my children and chased money. So for you, a younger man, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to chase money, because what you actually sacrifice or give up is time with your family. And I feel like to some people, they would say, well, you need that safety net, and you got to have money to survive. And I would agree that that's true. But put yourself in the shoes of, oftentimes I think about people like who are billionaires, like a Jay-Z or a Beyonce or a Kanye West, who has more than enough money probably for 1,000 people in a lifetime, but yet they still continue to kind of push themselves to make more money. And while I'll say I'm not counting nobody's pockets, but I think that oftentimes I think about that. I'm like, wow, what are people actually sacrificing to be able to do that? Because let's be realistic. If you live in America and you are 100 millionaire, you could probably meaning that you have $100 million or plus, you could probably go somewhere and buy a house and live for the rest of your life, not have to work. If you live a fairly modest lifestyle, I know you can because remember the other week we went to a birthday party. I was telling my wife there was a rapper I used to listen to, and I actually searched him up like, yo, where's this guy at now? And when I searched him up, it was like, yeah, this so and so lives in like a rural town up north in a regular size house like when me and my wife would live in. And he in the course of his career he made about $40 million, and now he doesn't really work. He spends time with his family, but he does put out projects like once every 3-4 years. But it's like when they asked him, he was like, I realized one, I didn't really like Hollywood. I didn't really like being out in the forefront like that. I realized what I really wanted to be was just a family guy. And I was like, wow. And this is somebody who's not a believer. So when I say things like that, it's like, well, if somebody and from that aspect, he realized that what was more important to him was actually his family, not making more money. He's like, hell, I got $40 million. He could have went out and made more million out of them. Just like, no, what it actually takes to make that money is time spent away from my family or with my children, and to me, it's just not worth it. So I think about things like that from bringing that down to the perspective of like I said, a younger man. I'm not a young man, but I'm a younger man. It's like, am I willing to chase the win and give up my life, in the forefront? It's like, no, I'm not. And over the course of my life, I've had many different men who are believers tell me that, hey, set your heart. You and your wife get together, set your heart on a specific number, and when you get there, be content.
Yeah.
The world will always tell you, oh, yo, you can make more. You made 2K this year, 200K this year. You can make 220 next year, and after that you can make 250, and you make 300,000. It's like there's always more and more and more that you could always want to continue to go for. But what do you actually need to provide for your family, and you actually be able to be present in your home and be a role model for your children, and not just be like, yeah, dad was there, dad bought us cars, clothes, but he was never really there. You know what I'm saying? I think I think about that oftentimes. When I watch podcasts, even when I remember I watched a podcast, Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp, and somebody actually asked him that question. Somebody asked him, with all the money and the fame that you've accumulated over the years, do you kind of regret, not being able to be present in your children's lives? And for him, he was like, well, I can't do anything if I'm broke. So to answer that question, he was like, no, I don't regret it. And hey, to each his own. I'm not going to judge somebody for what they what they value. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, okay, something you said, I think it's like two things or two thoughts I was having. The first thought was just that to you, maybe what you were saying was like $88,000 a year.
Just throw out any random
No,
number.
I understand that, but $88,000 a year. I've heard stories where people were living off of, like, a family of 5 was living off of $15,000 a year, and they were saying that to say, and the wife didn't work as well. But they were saying that to say, well, we knew what type of lifestyle we would have. And I think right now in this season in life for me, and I guess, for our family, I'm back at home. There was a season where I was working, but even then it was still kind of like, yeah, am I really about to go and work like 5 days a week, or am I just doing enough because we've had a couple of incidents that happened, and I just feel like maybe I could just dust my license off and kind of pick up a couple hours. And so like right now in this season, it's like, would it make sense for me to go and work? And I think it was actually really encouraging and actually freeing to hear other homeschool moms, stay-at-home moms and wives talk about how, like, no, you don't really have to worry about those things. Like, what you have to worry about is, or not worry about, but what you have to set your sight on, or put your focus on, or what are the goals? Like, so yes, you're going to be home. You and your husband have established that, or maybe there's some single mothers who homeschool, but it's like, okay, so you're going to be home with your children. That's something that to our culture around us, that's a big sacrifice because you're missing out on that money that you could be making. And it's like, what was freeing to me was hearing a mom say, okay, what are the goals? Like, what are your goals for your children? So once you figure out your goals for your children or for your family, that will actually help you, kind of like what you were saying, like, what's the number? Because if you know the number, like, that'll tailor, that actually, first of all, that brings order to your life, because then it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm not just out here working, just doing, just because, until like the end of my days, but I'm actually like working towards something. But it's like, once I get to that thing, well, what are we doing from here? And I think that'll help you either take on opportunities or not take on. Because something else you said, where I was thinking, that actually just sounds like you're not chasing every opportunity that comes up, which will happen, which you could either get into, the schemes. You can fall into the schemes of the enemy. You can fall into just schemes in general. Like, oh man, I got this, finance, whatever, MLM, you just put 500 down and then you'll make 1,000 back after you get like 15 friends, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And so, but for me, hearing that about like you even do that down to your children, because like when we first got married, we did that. Like we were like, okay, well, our goal is to live off of one income, even if we both work.
Yeah.
So because that was just one of our biggest goals with getting married, it was like, you know what? We're gonna live simply. So that actually, I mean, it affected the type of homes that we looked at as far as purchasing. Also what we did spend our money on, what we didn't spend our money on. We got used cars, not brand new. So that really shaped our lifestyle. So then when you go and see others where it's like, man, they doing it big. They, on a yacht, or they traveling every week, and, like, when do they have time to work? And it's just kind of like, well, you never know. They might have a bunch of credit card debt to, go on these trips.
On that lifestyle. Or have a timeshare.
or have a timeshare. But it's either way, it's like you will stop doing so much of the comparison, or even if you start to compare, it's like, but am I really about to do that? Like, does it align with my goals? Because I feel like even when you set a budget for yourself, it's almost like, did I spend too much this week? What can I cut out? What can I do to stay here so I can be comfortable? One of the things that you said when we went into home buying, our realtor tried to push us into like a bigger home.
Yeah, because they get a bigger cut, and once you, I mean, I'm pretty sure people out there who have gone through the home buying process already know what we're about to say, but I'm gonna say anyways. For those that don't, but sometimes you say, well, my budget is like 150, and then you go and do your do your paperwork to get a home loan, and they see how much you actually make. Like, oh no, you can afford this right here. And it's like, I think we were quoted like we actually approved for like 300,000. I was like, nah. At the time, granted, we bought our house before COVID, or right when it was on the forefront. October, and COVID hit like that next year. So the prices for homes the interest rates were like 3.6, 2.9. So they were real low, especially in the Baltimore area, which is where we live at. The homes were definitely like buku cheap. So we got in at a good price, on the price that we wanted. But to her point, when they see that you can actually afford a lot more, they're like, well, you want this house right here? And we're like, no, we actually, we have a specific number that we want, and the reason why we don't want our mortgage to be, so much that we need two incomes to have to pay it. So that was kind of our reasoning behind doing what we were doing. Did that mean that we couldn't get the biggest house? Yeah, that's exactly what that meant. I mean, we couldn't get the biggest house that we may have wanted, or that we may have solved, but that was the sacrifice that we were willing to make in order to live the lifestyle that we had agreed to live.
Yeah, I think with you saying that, I remember specifically one time we were sitting at the table with her, and hear me out, like, because we do this. This is realistic. We do it. It's like, well, the houses that we said that we wanted wasn't really falling under our price, that, the price that we said we were willing to pay. And I think, like, when you think about it, sometimes what we want isn't going to be readily available when we're ready to get it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not falling in line with our goals, if
So
that
what does
makes
that mean
sense.
then?
Well, what I'm saying is, I just remember you put your foot down. You were like, "Don't show me anything else that's above what I'm saying." And then I think what I think it means, though, like from that scenario, I had just gotten from you that it's like, no, I want to stick to this because this is the lifestyle. And I remember we walked away from that meeting with our realtor, and you were like, she keeps pushing us to kind of go above. And I said to you, like, well, you are telling her that you want this, 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 and that. And how is she going to provide for you, or show you the houses that we want when, in the price range is like not, on the list. And I don't know if that's a tactic. I'm not into real estate, so I don't know if that's a tactic that they use to try to get you to go above your budget.
So they get bigger cut.
Yeah, but what you said, though, I remember you looked at me and you said, no, because I want to make sure that we can afford this. And remember, we were coming out of a situation where I think a year prior, we were both out of work for like
3 months.
Like 3 months together,
Yeah.
sitting on the couch, broke toe up together. I mean, and so when you come out of those situations, it's one or two things that can happen. You can either be like, man, I got money now, so let's hit the ground running. Or it's like, let me move a little bit more cautiously. Let me be.
That can happen.
Yeah, let me be more intentional. And even back then,
even when I came to the new job, I remember I got hurt again.
Yeah, like
so,
yeah,
for like a little over a month. So it's like you never know. You never know what can happen. And oftentimes when people go into situations going back to chasing the wind, you don't know what can happen. You don't know. Like, yeah, I have a car, but you don't know if if your car might get hit, you might get into an accident. Like, you don't know what could happen.
Yeah.
So it's always to err on the side of caution. And one I'll also say too, through that process, that I want to mention that we had to trust the Lord. Like we were very prayerful. We were talking to the Lord the whole time. Like, Lord, you know what we want, Lord. You know what we said. We know what we need. Please, Lord, can you make a way for us to be able to get what it is we want and need in this price range? And God did it. We live in a good neighborhood. We drove through here, our neighborhood, a few times at nighttime. We even came here with our buddy a few times at nighttime. He's like, man, they were quiet. I was like, yeah, that's what we want. Nighttime, 9, 10 o'clock at night, everything was quiet. And that's what we wanted. And, we're happy with, the home that we purchased, and we ultimately happy that we decided to trust the Lord,
So I have a question on that, because then some of the things I wanted to read, some of the notes that I took down when I first heard the Lord say this. I do what I do. I do a voice recording, but I transcribe it so that I can actually read what I'm saying. Because a lot of times, if I'm driving and it's quiet in the car, like without the kids, that's when I feel like I tune everything out. Of course, I pay attention to the road because people are crazy, but I just voice record and then I go back and read it. So it's almost like what's our world? Like, I think I was asking the Lord, what are some things that are our world? So like you said, you made a good point. Family, that's our world. That's our foundation that the Lord is given to us. Maybe the things that we've prayed for, the things that He's brought in.
That we value.
The things that we value, and that we've allowed the Lord to bring in and establish in our lives. And it's almost like we kind of throw that to the wind. Throw caution to the wind. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'll always remind my wife and myself, and I even have conversations with guys at work about this, and I was like, listen, not when I tell them, I don't say as believers, but I say, listen, you have to realize that this world is anti-family, anti-marriage, anti-God. Like anything that aligns with what God desires for His people, this world is anti. Like, you see a lot of talk shows, man, ain't nothing. He got it. It's like, oftentimes I think that even from the perspective of men, when I hear women say what they want in a woman, I'm like, well, do you want a wife or do you want a slave? Like, I don't think you want a wife. I think you looking for like one of the little robot chicks or something.
Like a servant.
Yeah, a servant. And so I say that to say that this world is anti-God. They're anti-marriage, they're anti-family, and they'll say that they're not. But look at the systems. Look at the child support systems. Look at the YouTube content that are pushed about dating and looking for a man, looking for a woman. It's like, actually look at it, really analyze it. And I oftentimes I ask my wife, I said, man, can I ask you a question? She's like, sure. I was like, do you realize that a lot of these people up here that's talking about how to get a man, how to get a wife, they ain't got one. It's like, so you're such an expert on how to get a husband, how to get a man, how to get a woman, how to raise a family, but you ain't got neither. Like, you ain't got nothing. The only thing that you have is a YouTube following and a YouTube check that has afforded you to live a very good life, more than the average person could in America. But besides that, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You spent your life chasing the wind.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Christ was saying in the Bible, you've received your reward.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really good. Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it goes back to what I was saying just about like, what is your goal? I think if we establish why we do a thing, because I don't think that we actually take that time in young adulthood, like coming out of like our parents' home, even if you still live there, but coming under their, coming from up underneath their rule and authority, and you know, because you go from somebody telling you what to wear, what to do, when you're going to eat, when you're going to do it, you know, as a teenager to like, okay, adulthood, you get your own job, work, just find somewhere to work, or go to college and then still find somewhere to work and then, you know, just go about your life. So I don't think not too many people plan their lives out. I mean, unless you have like arranged marriage or anything like that, no one's really planning their life out until, you know, what's the thing that everyone says? Oh, well, you got to live a little. How are you? And no one ever talks about like what type of living we're actually going to be doing when we're just living a little. I remember I was in the salon, and I've shared this on previous podcasts. I was in the salon and I was telling the older ladies, you know, yeah, I think I want to settle down and be married and, you know, this and that. Girl, you still young. You still got time. You got time for all of that. Like, why settle down? And you have to think, like, these were maybe hurt married women. These were maybe divorced women. And so I got what they were saying, like live a little, but a lot of times they may be speaking to you from their regrets in life. And so it's almost like
Or trauma.
or trauma. And maybe what they could have, should have, would have done. Like, well, if I was your age, I mean, because I feel like I look at younger girls now and I'm like, you know what, if I was 21 again, you know, I would do that. Would I do things a little different? I would do a few things a little bit differently. But it's like, you know, I'm talking from if I was in your predicament right now, if I was in your position, what would I do? You have a great opportunity to start something new, to do this and that. Don't just throw it away. And what I'm really saying is actually think about it. Think about what you're doing. Don't jump into that relationship. Don't, you know, run to that job. And yes, you might need the money as a young adult. You might want to go travel because, you know, everyone's traveling on TikTok, Instagram, or having a good time. You might want to go and, I don't know, go back to school. But it's like, do you really want to do that? Like I said, I think it was really freeing for me just listening to the different homeschool moms. One woman said she knew from the beginning that she wanted to be a mother. And hear me out. Didn't I just tell you this the other day? I said, Dale, I've known since middle school that I wanted to be a mother. Now, I wish that I was in a predicament where I could have said that and known that it wasn't looked at as negative. And it would be like, you know what? You want to be raised to be a mom, a homemaker. Let's, I don't know, get you into some home economics courses. Let's get you into some, what are the child courses? Like where you're learning how to,
Development.
some early childhood development courses. Actually, how about, because you want to be a homeschooler, why not go to college or start to prepare and go to college to be a teacher so that you can learn how to teach, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and people don't think that way. People don't just take a split second, same way, I want to be married. How about we get around some married folks?
Or a better question is, why don't our colleges have curriculums that are geared towards marriage and raising a family? Like, well, I mean, I think about things like, I mean, of course, we know why our culture's anti-marriage. Like, that's why. Like, why would I give you, help you learn how to be married when I don't want you married anyways? And I don't mean more so the culture, much more as it is the enemy. Like, one of the things that I think about often is how when me and my wife.
Oh no, sorry, I was putting my cup down.
When me and my wife got married, one of the things that I realized is that we really wasn't prepared for marriage. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much of the desire we had in our hearts. We wasn't prepared for marriage. And when I mean this, we didn't have the tools to build a successful marriage. I mean, it didn't matter how great the desire was. Like, you know, I have a buddy who's a master mechanic. He's an auto mechanic,
Mhm.
and he can listen to your car and tell you what's wrong with it. He has the tools to fix it. He know how to fix it, how to
Mhm.
diagnose it. But when we got married, only thing we did was we had tools, but we didn't know how to fix the
How
car.
to
We
like
didn't know how to
use the tools.
diagnose it, so it didn't really
Yeah.
matter. And so I feel like oftentimes one of the biggest I feel like hurdles is in with people in today's culture who want to come from a godly perspective, is that unfortunately you don't have the tools necessary to really build a good marriage and to build a good family. So a lot of what me and my wife had to do was learn by bumping our heads, and I'll be the first to say, if it hadn't been first for God, the Holy Spirit, and the people in our lives who were believers and who had been married longer than us, we probably wouldn't still be married.
And they continue to answer the
I
phone.
say that, as a testament to God and as a testament to God's people, that if you have the desire and you surround yourself with people, who have the tools, who've gone before you, who've bumped their head, can tell you, listen, man, I did this and I did that. I bumped my head a few times. Don't do that. No need for you to bump your head. I bumped mine, so you don't have to. I feel like then you're able to actually navigate these things. And this has always been me and my wife's heart with About This Love podcast, is to kind of help the generation our age, which is mid-30s and younger, to be like, hey, if you want marriage, if you want a family, go for it, and we can actually help you to get the tools necessary to be able to build that. Because one of the things you have to realize in today's culture is, again, they're anti-marriage, they're anti-family, they're anti-God. And a lot of the ideas that I hear people spitting, the rhetoric, what's funny is, like, we're so caught up in, I would say, with TV programs, that people don't even realize that the thoughts that you have aren't even your own thoughts. Like, I remember we was in a video chat today, me and some other men. We were going over a book study by Jason Wilson, called, titled, the book is the moment. The moment. What was it called?
The man
The
that the
man. The moment
moment
demands. I'm sorry.
demands.
The
I
man.
know
The
it's
moment
like a
demands. And one of the things that one of the guys had said, he said, "Let me ask you a question. The thoughts that you have, do you think those are your thoughts? Like you want to go out there?" He was talking about, like, young men, young guys and women. You want to go out there and bust down 5 chicks. Are those actually your thoughts, or did you watch something or hear something on music that actually made you think that? Like,
Yeah.
we don't even realize the thoughts that we think aren't even your thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're being persuaded by something or entity that isn't even. These thoughts aren't even yours. They don't even belong to you. You've just adopted them. It's like sometimes when I hear people, um, during the whole election, people were, well, yeah, we doing this. I let myself, like, where you hear that from? You heard it from Trump, or you heard that from Kamala Harris? Like, people, we don't even realize we live in a world where our thoughts are not even our own thoughts. And God forbid, let somebody say something contrary to what the word is today, or what the thoughts of the world is today. They'll either be hung or crucified. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
It reminded me of this scripture, so I just looked it up really quick. Do you mind if I read it?
Go ahead.
All right. So finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So, I mean, like, I thought about that, and I thought it was appropriate. Oh, did I say what it was from? Philippians 4:8. And I thought about that scripture because I'm like, you're absolutely right. And because of that, like, let's say somebody like me, and actually you as well, because you have downtime on your job and I have downtime at my job here at home. But, like, when there's free time, or if I'm like kind of, I'm tired of hearing the kids, like, I hear them, but it's like, I want to hear, like, another adult. I want to speak to another adult. Either I'm cautious to, like, who I'm talking to, like, I'm careful about who I'm speaking with and what we're talking about. Are we edifying each other in our conversation? Like, every time I'm like, oh yeah, me and my friend, and you're like, well, what do y'all talk about? I'm like, well, actually, we do a lot of edifying on the call. Like, no, we're not going to talk like that. We're not going to cut up that bad. You know, we don't really talk about, we don't gossip about people. And it's hard. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's almost like, that's like years in the making. Like, no, we really want to be women of virtue. And so the way that we do that is not get into that crass kind of, or what people say, that low energy, like that's real low energy. Yeah, low frequency, kind of conversations. And maybe we do kind of go down there, but it's almost like, yeah, we about to get low for a second. All right. So, share what's on our heart and then let's come back up. Or do you want to hear what's heavy on my heart? Okay, cool. But then also too, when I'm not speaking with, my friend, it's like, I've actually I've had to seek out different podcasts, different books, different ones.
And are positive or kind of reinforce the things that you want to attract.
Yeah, like they're godly women who want to raise their children up to be a certain standard. I won't say exactly as my standard, but they are women who are in the Lord. And no matter what you want to do, I feel like secular people do that too. Man, I want to be a go-getter. I want to be this and that. They go and listen to that person. Yeah. So why as believers, and that was the other thing that I felt like the Lord was showing me, like, why as believers do we think that we can kind of go into society and, well, because we got God, I can maneuver differently because I hear from the Lord. Because I thought that was like, you're right. We actually do have that false sense of like, well, we won't be taken down by this thing because, we got God on our side, and
get a head chopped off.
Exactly.
God, I thought I was your boy.
Right. And it's like, hold up, how did I end up here? Like, I thought, Lord, like, how did I end up here? And it's like, well, what do you think God says to that deal?
I mean, I think there's a difference between like me going somewhere and God sending me there. I feel like even I don't know the exact address in the scripture, but I remember when Paul wanted to go somewhere and the Holy Spirit restrained him, said, no, don't go there. Like, don't go there. And who knows why. But I think sometimes, like, when we're connected to God, like, I feel like in that essence, he will actually prevent us from going somewhere. Like, no, I don't want you to go there. Right? No, you don't need to go there. Go over here. But I feel like when you kind of a believer and you don't submit your life to the Holy Spirit, you kind of just go over there and get knocked out and get shot up. Figuratively, of course. Figuratively, not literally, but you get beat up or get knocked up with a kid or two, or you impregnate a woman. It's like, well, look, God, why was you at God? I didn't tell you to go over there. I didn't tell you to be around the women. I was telling my wife, there's a show on Netflix that I watched recently. It's called Temptation Island. And I will say, before I watched the show, I didn't realize it would be as sensual as it was, as far as sexual. All the women wearing bikinis and stuff. I'm like,
Island,
no. I watched it because I really wanted to from the perspective of relationships. I told my coworkers, I said, hey, before I even watched it, the show, I called it. I called it like on the rip. I said, hey guys, I'm telling you what's going to happen. The people who go on this island who are unsure in their relationship, or who have had infidelity or insecurities in the relationship, I said they're not going to make it. I said the ones who are sure and certain who go there, they're the ones that are going to make it. And one thing I will say is that after I said that, I think the next day I watched episode 1, and the first 5 minutes of the episode, it's 4 couples, so it's 4 women, 4 girls and 4 guys, and they talk about what brought you here. And 3 of the 4 couples, there was infidelity. 2 of the couples, the men cheated. The 1 couple, the girlfriend cheated, and the other couple, they were kind of just really just like more so like, well, I want to be married, but I also want to see, can I be tempted? Which again, I don't. To me, it's foolishness. But I will say that the couple that because his girlfriend, I guess, had cheated early on in the relationship. But push come to shove, out of all the couples, two of them actually continued to get back together. Yeah. One of them actually ended up getting engaged. The one couple, the guy had intercourse with 2 women on their side of the island, and the girlfriend took him back. And really, you can see she took him back more so because she was like, well, I mean, in my mind, what I gathered from it was like, well, I don't really know if I'm gonna be able to get somebody else, and
Oh
and
wow.
I know. Well, I mean, that's not what she was, but
No, that's what
based
you're
off
saying you perceive.
the perception that she was giving, and I know he know I'm a good woman, so I'm gonna let him take me back. And I was like, I mean, I guess whatever. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, but it's just like, so what's my point?
Well, I guess you.
Yeah, I lost my point.
No, you getting caught up on the show, but I think what you were saying is just that, what you spend your time consuming, and also the world is against relationships.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you were just saying like a show like Temptation Island is almost like because what I said was that, we think we're gonna go in there
yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
because we got the Lord on our side,
Yeah,
and we'll be like
yeah.
unscathed.
I mean, because
And then
I
the
mean,
Lord is not going to send us certain places.
yeah, it was. I mean, it's. I mean, really, it's foolishness. It really is. Like, even one of the for the couples, they introduce for the couples, it's like nine men that will be living with the girlfriends while they're on the island, and it's like 9 women that will be living on the island with the boyfriends on the island. So the girlfriends go to the other part of the island with the 9 men who are not their boyfriends, and the 4 guys go to the other part of the island with 9 women who are not their girlfriends. And the dude's like, "Yo, man, I'm coming to take your girl," and the woman like, "Yeah, I'm coming to take your man." And I was like, "Yo, come on, get out of here, yo."
I'm not gonna say that's modern day.
But I mean, it's one aspect of it is entertainment. But do you know what one of my coworkers said who's not a believer? He was like, he said, "See, that's the problem, with the media and with TV shows." He was like, they're actually not promoting relationships and marriage, and he's a non-believer. And I was like, wow, really? So even they see it. They're actually not even. They don't want you, but they want you to be promiscuous. They want you to have 2 or 3 boyfriends or 2 or 3 girlfriends. That's exactly what they want. They want you to have that. So it's like, I watched it from the aspect of I wanted to see how things would play out.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like the sexual part of it. Like, that's just a part of like American TV, But it's like I really was interested to see how it would play out, and I was right. But I was wrong is that I didn't see the other couple staying together who the guy had intercourse, but they did, and the other guy, I was like, yeah, they pretty seemed like they was kind of sure, but didn't really know. So I mean, I was pretty much head on before I watched it who would stay together and who wouldn't stay together.
But we didn't. Like, I watched the show.
Love is Blind.
You don't. I mean, no. I mean, but you really don't know if they really had a solid foundation or were they just dating because you know what I'm saying? Because people. I don't think it's. Hear me out. Yeah.
What I mean is that out of all the couples, they were the ones who, when asked if they want to be together, there was no uncertainty in their answer.
Okay, so
out of the mouth, the heart speaks.
Okay.
If I'm uncertain about us, I'm gonna say it. I'm going to say it, but that's a heart issue.
Hear me out. But if somebody placing a whole spread in front of you, of like, and you feel like you got options, I feel like anybody would be uncertain.
One guy didn't.
Listen, maybe the one guy was certain, but it's almost like, yeah, forget that. Like that sounds like people who have had a solid foundation they on a show. I don't know how solid. But what I'm saying is it was like, no matter what, like, like people on a diet, it doesn't matter if a whole platter.
You're right.
Yeah, if I'm on a specific diet, like, well, I know I can't do this and that.
Like cheesecake, he go cheese. Not even kind of cheesecake. You're like, yo.
Yeah, somebody really involved. No, so I mean, okay, so you're talking about I was gonna say Love Island, but what is it called?
Temptation Island.
Okay, I was gonna say Pleasure Island, Lord.
I mean, that was what it was.
That's what it sounded like to me. So you're talking about Pleasure Island, but on the other end of it, and here I go with my like homemaker, because this is all I watch is homemaker videos, my K-dramas, and that's why I like K-dramas, because at the end of it, they still come together, they still have community, they still have family. Now they do got their drama, but they got, at the end of the day, it's like they got family. Unrealistic may it be as far as like some of the things, like it's no way like the person always gonna show up every 2 seconds when you need them, right? But
come out the ground, yeah. You see something like, yo,
right? Like,
you Batman somebody?
Exactly. But I still love that they still come together. There's like a part where they're coming together, and it's really big to have the family's approval. But not to
Even
get,
if it's surface level,
yeah,
it's still
I mean,
family.
no, they kind of go deeper. Like if it's surface level, they address it in the movies. Like that's what I like
Okay,
about
wow.
it. It comes up. It don't stay surface level for long. It actually comes up, and that's why I like the K-dramas anyway. But kind of going back to like what this one homeschool mom said, like, well, if you know your goal, if you know your why, once you figure out your why are we doing this? What's the master goal? Well, why are we living this life? What's our master goal for our life? Like, if it's to serve God and please God with how we're living, that bare basic goal, is bare basic to us, right?
Yeah.
I want to serve God with my life. I mean, listen, it took me for one day to sit down. One day I sat down. I remember sitting in my apartment and I had a journal, I had a prayer journal, and every day I would just write a prayer. What's the prayer on my heart today? What I hear the Lord saying today? And I would just write it down. And I got to a point where I was like, Lord, I actually just want to live for you. I think even in your mind, something in your mind just kind of shifts. It's like, well, if I want to live for God, let me start, I don't know, reading books about God, or let me start getting around people who, whether they are godly or not, they claim to be godly, they claim to be going. And I think
So in the beginning, you don't know.
that's when your different interests or your different ways, you start to branch off into those things, and it'll really direct you. Because what was that scripture when we were talking about it earlier? You were saying, what was the scripture you were saying?
What scripture?
You were saying how the Lord, like man plans his steps, but the Lord directs.
Oh yeah. It's the Psalms. Man makes his plan, but God directs the steps.
Yeah. So
I don't know that. I don't know the specific address. You can probably Google the address if those who are interested in that specific address.
Like, yeah. But no, so I mean, so exactly though, but and this is how you don't get off kiltered by just like, oh, what's going on over there? Like, by the wind, by like what's flashy, it's like, yeah, I see that, but I actually don't need that. I actually don't need to, something like a Temptation Island. First of all, would you even be on a Temptation Island? You know what I'm saying? Would you leave it's like certain things, like, would you leave your relationship up to chance for that? Why are they on there? Let's be real. Probably money, exposure.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Like, if I'm on that, what's that? That other one, The Ultimatum. We did watch that.
I didn't watch it. You watched that. I
You
watched
fell
Love is
asleep.
Blind with you. Yeah.
You fell asleep. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
she liked them watching them little
No.
First Sight, Love is Blind. I'm like, man, get out of here.
Love at First Sight is totally different. If you know, you know. It's totally different than Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Love is Blind is the most frustrating. Like, if you want to be frustrated and mad, like, watch Love is Blind.
You know what's frustrating about these TV shows, and me and my wife, we always have these conversations
Mhm.
when we're watching them, is that I wonder how much of, because we ask ourselves questions a lot, like, hey, even to our other friends who are believers. Do you think somebody could actually meet somebody for the first time and actually be married, and what do you think they can be married in a long lasting marriage? I think the answer to that is yes, they actually can. But I think too much of the culture, because I mean, when you think about was it Abraham's son, when the servant went to find him a wife, or did he end up going himself?
No.
It was one of the sons. It was one. I think it was Abraham's servant went to find Isaac a wife. But my whole point is that, like, he saw her for the first time, and they were married, and later we know that they still were married because they birthed the nations. So it's like the 12 tribe, well, 13. You think about was it Benjamin? It's 13 with Benjamin. So it's 13 tribes total, but 12. But my whole point is that yes, with the right godly culture and being held accountable, yes, you can meet somebody for the first time, and you guys create a godly marriage and a godly bond and create a family, so forth and so on. But I feel like it's too much of what we have today as believers is too ingrained with the world's culture. So that won't allow us to, we're too ingrained with the world's culture. So that won't, so by that alone, we can't. But if we didn't have that addition in us or in our souls, we could actually meet somebody for the first time and, like, you know what, she's a woman of God, he's a man of God, cool, let's get married and start life, start a family together. Because when you actually look at people, and let's just go ahead and keep it 100 and keep it all the way real. If you look at people, Clearly, people don't have the right discernment to pick their own spouse or a girlfriend or a wife. Clearly, that they don't.
Hold on, based on what are you saying that?
I mean, look at how many people you know who may have been with somebody may have been with different people over the course of 3-4 years or 4 or 5 years, or been married twice, or been with somebody even now, and they don't want to get married, or they don't want to marry them. It's just because it's convenience. I mean, when you look at that alone, like clearly you see that that's not the case.
Yeah, but I think you can't just put a blanketed statement like that onto those scenarios. And I say that because it's like two things you said. You started off our conversation saying that we did not have what it takes to be married, but then we've almost been married 10 years.
But we have the godly culture.
Yes, the godly culture. And so that's what I was going to say. And then something else that you said was that you just said it, like the culture doesn't promote that. So it's almost like we don't know the scenarios. They probably did pick, you never know. And I've heard other believers say that they don't believe in soulmates, and that, because God gives us free will.
I would agree.
And hear me out. Like I've told people in my family who are secular, they're not believers, or I don't think they're believers. They're not overly, overtly Christian or anything like that. But when I've had the conversation with them, I've been like, you know what, down to the bare bones of it, if you choose him and he chooses you, I mean, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it all, we're going to argue until we come to a resolve. We're going to stay together. Like it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to stay together because we want to be together, but we're still choosing. I think in today's culture, a lot of people.
You gotta have when you start putting, because you were telling me about your list when you got married. Like when you start having a list,
I have a list.
Yeah, you told me you had a list, so you had to give me your list.
Was that me?
Yeah, you.
I don't think I had a list.
I don't think it was carnal, but you said you had like a list. You had what you wanted in a husband.
It was okay. It probably was a list, but it wasn't like how the list is. How people's lists are today.
I mean, I understand.
It was more so like, is it a man of integrity? Does he love his mama? Because that's a big thing. And and how is he like around family dynamics? Like I think it was really bare. And this is me kind of coming up with stuff. Excuse me. And did you want to get married?
That's why I said it wasn't carnal, but it was more so like, would you say like
I think it was a standard
character, not like money wise, but it was more so it was character things you were looking for.
Yeah, it was, but I think it was just because you got to remember, like I was early in my walk with the Lord and in my intentional walk with the Lord when I met you. So I don't have any standard to base a marriage off of or a spouse off of. Yeah. So I was like, Lord, what are a few things that I can kind of going back, what is my master goal of like, this is what do I want? And if he's not saying these kind of things, because I feel like you had a list.
Sorry for you.
Huh?
Sorry for you.
I'm sorry for
TLC off of House Party 3. Mm-hmm. Sorry for you.
Oh, I don't remember House Party 3 like that.
She'll know a lot of them old movies.
Yes, I do. But I don't know that one though. But I get what you're saying. But no, so it's
this is totally irrelevant.
Oh,
I had to let her watch Training Day for the first time. Was it like last year? She had never seen it before. I said, "What? You ain't never seen Training Day?"
But if it's too much blood, I can't do it.
Jake,
sir.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Shoot program. 24-hour lockdown. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
See, because this is video, if I cut it out, it's probably not gonna make sense. But no. So like, like you were saying, like I was saying, like, no, I started to say before you cut me off, or not cut me off, but went left, that you had a goal too. Because I remember we were walking around the lake. Remember that? We were walking around the lake, and you said something where you were like, if we were to get married, and I felt like you asked me a bunch of questions. Like, what are some things that you want from life? And if we were to get married, would you be willing to give this up or do this and that? And it wasn't give up like you were trying to force me to give things up, but it was almost like, how are we going to become one? Like,
yeah.
Like, it was, hear me out. It was give up, like, are you going to get on my insurance? Give up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was that, because I was like, oh man,
Well,
he being serious. Like,
what I was gonna say before I said you had a list, and we could probably bring it to an end.
mhm,
What I was saying is that oftentimes a lot of people, a lot of men and women, when they do have a list today, like like I said before, I listen to a lot of relationship podcasts that are carnal and sensual. He gotta have, make six figures. He gotta, be cute. He gotta have, he can't have no kids, and it's like, and when I'm hearing this, I'm like, well, how he treat his mother? Is he nice? Is he polite? Is he kind? Like everything, the things that you want in a man aren't really anything of noble character. If a man is making 40 grand today, 2 years from now he can make 100 grand. It was like, so those things aren't
or no
necessarily
grand.
like when we got together. Like I said all the time, we were broke. You know, we
Hold on. We were not broke.
we were brokes.
I was
But
not broke.
10 years later, we've been married for 8, together for 10. That's not really the case. When we look back now, when we first met, and we laugh like, wow. But one of the things that I will say is that, like, when you look for a spouse, like me and my wife said earlier when she was saying the things that she wanted in a man and vice versa, is look for qualities that money can't buy. That's what I'll say. Look for things that money can't buy. We say that as a testament to God, to say, like, a lot of the ideas of what you want and what he got to have a six pack or she got to have that stuff don't matter, man. I mean, I'm just saying that stuff really doesn't matter when you're talking about the living with somebody for the longevity and how they treat you, when you're angry at them or when they're angry with you, and how he or she can treat children. That stuff don't matter. That's not really relevant. And I think that, when you get older, you realize that. So us being able to say, hey, if you're somebody who desires marriage, or if you're somebody that wants to be in a godly relationship, focus on things that money can't buy,
Mhm. But also too, and then once you get that, like, and you've seen how, well, not how hard the Lord has worked, but you see how the Lord has brought that together. Don't be so quick to, like, give it up.
How difficult it is to maintain too. Marriage is difficult to maintain. So if somebody who has been with somebody for 10 years and married for 8, marriage is very difficult to maintain. When I talk to people, to young guys in my family, I tell them, hey, how's marriage? It's great.
It's
But it's very
difficult.
difficult. I mean, it is. It's not. Nothing that's worth having. Nothing that's worth having isn't going to come easy.
I think you should correct that. I don't think it's difficult. I think there's difficulties. I think it's work. And not all work is difficult.
Ain't work difficult?
No, your work probably difficult, but ain't all.
What would you say else is difficult?
I don't think it's difficult. I think there's difficulties, but and you and I could.
Is that the same?
No, it's not. Because if it's difficult, the whole thing is hard. But if there's difficulties, there's certain aspects of it that's hard, but the whole thing's not hard. Everything not hard.
So would you say that we're difficult?
No, you're difficult, but
you're difficult too.
Listen.
Well, I mean, you know what?
But
that's a good point. Maybe marriage isn't difficult. Maybe we're just difficult.
No, but exactly, and that could be a whole nother podcast episode. Because I was talking to my clients one day about this, who are married, and I was just, I was saying some things about it. If you can go back and change anything in your marriage, what would it be? So of course, it's almost like, why are you asking that? What you know what I'm saying? But then I was vulnerable with them, and I shared, like, you know what? Actually, I would not. I wouldn't go back and, like, not marry you. But
I said the same thing.
But I would be a little bit, I would be more lax on things because
I said the same thing. Yeah.
Because we had gotten married, and like I said, I was new in my intentionality with Christ, like new to, like, being really consistent in the Lord and the things of the Lord. I took a lot of things serious. Like, yeah. I mean, okay, I know this is your example, but I can't think of one of my examples. Oh, actually, I do have an example, so I don't bust you out.
Nah, bust me out. Keep it real.
Well, okay, I'm gonna keep it real since you said it. One time, you made me breakfast. It was like a Saturday, and you made me breakfast, right? Dale, I came down and I was like, I just want some cereal, Dale. Like, I don't even want to sit up at the table this long to eat breakfast. And it became a big blow up because you were like, man, that's dishonorable. You're not eating my breakfast. Like, I done sat and cooked for you, and that's dishonorable. And I'm just like, because I don't want to eat pancake and eggs, I just want cereal. Like,
Yeah.
I just want cereal. Like, it's just, and on one hand, like, I don't know, maybe it could have been like, oh, okay, maybe we'll eat, breakfast for dinner, or sit and eat this, I'll eat this and you eat your cereal, but we still sit together. Like, being married, like, to this point, that's probably something we would do. But back then, it was almost like, you said I was being dishonorable. I was like, you being extra. Like,
Yeah,
what?
one of our spiritual fathers, he'd be like, man, what it is, y'all young, and y'all got energy to fight. And this is true.
Yeah.
Like, when you get older, have kids, you're like, I don't even really care, yo. She just yelled at me, I don't even care, yo. Like, whatever, yo.
Well, yeah. So one of my examples is that, so I had just been listening to a Bible teaching, and I just, I was like, you came home from work, and I was like, oh my gosh, Dale, like, this was a revelation from the Lord, and I heard this and that, and let's talk about it, and let's, take notes down and compare notes, and what's your vision from the Lord about this when you hear that? And you were just like, I don't know, Sherelle. I don't know. And I'm just like, is he a true man of God? Like, are you a true man of God? Like, you don't know. But, I wasn't mindful that, like, well, maybe he actually needs to sit and ponder on it. Like, he needs to sit and think on it. Maybe I shouldn't ask him when he first come off from work. Maybe I should just ask him about his work day. Like, I just so was like, zealous for the Lord that it's almost like you forget, like, the humanity side of, like, your spouse.
The practicality of just the day-to-day.
Yeah, of that. And I mean, maybe there's time for that. Maybe, I mean, I hate to say, oh, there's no time for the Lord, but it's almost like maybe you just need to check in with your person, and that's still the Lord. You're still showing, fruits of the Spirit towards your person. You're still putting the Lord on display. And I think within the last, like, 3 years, I've really had to learn that. I mean, we're still learning it, but it's just like, man, I'm sitting here talking about this Bible teaching and not doubting that you were actually wavering in your faith. Cause then that's another thing. Well, he don't go to church with me, or he don't do this and that, not that, that's an issue. But what I'm saying is, like, those things happen because we have this idea of what it's supposed to be or look like. And then you realize, oh, your person's human.
Yeah, one of our spiritual fathers, Dana, used to always say, man, just be, man, just be. We get an idea in our head of what things are supposed to look like, how you're supposed to, even men, just let things be. Mm-hmm. I think early on in my marriage too, that was just that was one of my biggest things that I would do as well. Too many situations that wasn't really that serious. I made it bigger than what it was, and now looking back, I'm like, yo, how foolish was I back then? Just like, yo. Now I'm like, I don't even really care, yo. Like my kind of like having kids. My kids were like, well, hey, looking at me. I'm like, I don't care, yo. Like, turn your head if you're an image. You're like, oh, I don't really care. But when you have kids, like the things that kids kind of get upset about, or the things that frustrate them, and you realize, yo, back then, I was a kid. Like I was a kid, I know my coworker. He said, one of his, he got two small toddlers, and he said sometimes, like, she's looking out my window. He was like, so, like, oh, and like, what we do about it? Like, I don't care. Oh. But it's like you realize the minuscule things that kids argue about, and we do as well. Early in our marriage, just like, dude, like, it's not that serious, man. Like, whatever, yo.
No, listen, your kids the other day, the boys were, like, I guess battling or something, and I was so tired. And so our daughter came downstairs and was like, they won't let me battle. A made up game. They won't let me battle. I looked at her and I was like, just grab your dolls. Come down here. Just come on, boo. And then
come battle with these dogs. Come on. Come battle with me.
Just come on, dude. Like, okay, I'm so sorry to hear that. Come on. And I fell asleep on
Yeah.
But it's just like, and all you could do is laugh at it, not in their face, obviously, but you just laugh, and it's almost
so
like
minuscule. You're like, yo.
It's like, this is so trivial. Like, it's not big. Like, and my friend was saying, she heard it because I was wrapping up my conversation with her, and she was like, man, don't even care if, like, bills getting paid, how the light, you worried about, did the light bill get paid? They won't let me battle. They won't share the doll. Like, all right, just come on, just quiet down, come on.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like, we can do that to God, like it's a spiritual, there could be a spiritual war in effect, like in our lives. And it's like, well, he didn't call me like at this time, and or we didn't pray like at that time. Like you can really be that dogmatic about a thing. And I think that also too, like, chokes out your love for your person or your love for the Lord. Like there's one thing being committed, and I think we mix that up with being was it
religious or
I was
dogmatic,
gonna say religious, yeah.
or what do you call it? Legalistic.
Yeah, or legalistic. And you know what? And I think that's what also lends us to, like, oh man, like that couple over there. Like I've been a victim of that. That couple over there, it looks like they're always smiling, they always got it together, they look so perfect in their pictures, their kids look perfect. And it's like, man, my marriage not like that. Something must be wrong. So then it's almost like, well, should I go when like this ain't working? So I should just give this up, and we're not traveling, so I should just give it up. No.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching our About This Love video. We had a fun time with you all. We hope the video kind of added an extra layer to the audio. We'll still probably post the audio as well, but
No, we will post audio.
well, we will post the audio
Yeah.
somewhere else. I mean on the podcast streaming platform, but the video you can also see on our About This Love YouTube page. So until next time, thank you for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. We hope to hear from you guys in the comments, and if you like the video, subscribe to our channel. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
About This Love.